podcast brought to you by Corporal Zambia with support from AIDS Funds. Now, my name is Priscilla Muziamba, and I'm joined by my co-host, Albert, and our lovely guest, who's going to introduce himself in under 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Go.
Thank you for having me. My name is Mwazia Twenda. I'm from the University of Zambia, currently pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Sociology.
By the
The only
only university.
The only university in Zambia.
I just had to say that.
Yeah, you just have to.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about something rather interesting, I might say today. We're looking at cultural and social norms and how they affect young people's health.
Exactly, because we live in a world where norms are everywhere. Specifically, Africa, then Zambia, we enter inside. We are heavy on cultural norms. And the social norms right now, they're quite catching up because of the new trends and everything. So we want to understand how they impact self-care.
And just to get you comfortable,
Yes.
we're going to have a little icebreaker.
Sure.
So we're going to ask you what we're calling self-care confessions. It's
Alright.
just one question. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
So what's that one self-care that you wish you did more of, but you never got around to?
Oh, that's easy because I'm doing it right now. I really wish I meditated more, just sitting alone with my thoughts, not on my phone, not doing anything, just in my world, sitting alone with my thoughts and just meditating. I wish I did more, and I really advise everyone watching and listening to do meditation more.
But for the question, doesn't meditating increase overthinking? Because in your
No. When you tell yourself to meditate, you want to be free. You're not thinking about things that worry you. You're just in your own space. You want to be free with yourself. It's like you are having a good conversation with yourself. You're not addressing the things you've done bad. You're just in your thoughts alone, talking
yeah,
to
because I
yourself.
think many overthinkers do mistaken overthinking with meditating. Because I think a lot of them we have a suspect right over there. Because I'm sure they do intertwine the two. Because once you overthink, you think as if they're meditating.
Oh no. Meditation is not harmful. Overthinking is.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, would you bring us into touching base on our topic today?
Okay.
And it will start by you defining for us what self-care is. We've asked you that question, but maybe there's some people who don't understand what self-care is. So what is self-care?
Okay, so self-care is basically just engaging in practices that maintain the well-being of your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and your mental well-being. That is basically what self-care is.
Okay, moving on to cultural norms.
And cultural norms are values, beliefs that shared among a community and they're usually passed on from generation to generation. I can give an example of here in Zambia, the way we value extended families. When I go to my aunt's place, the first conversation is Mule Tandala. You know, like those are norms, those are cultural norms. We embrace the extended family.
Okay, but what's the difference between cultural norms and social norms?
Okay, social norms are uncommunicated, not written anywhere, rules of behavior. For example, the way you are actually going to wear when you're going to church, when you're going to a funeral, the way I don't go around in the road playing loud music in a beatbox. I'd rather use pods, but when I'm alone, maybe I'll play music.
I've seen some people around, but okay.
Yes, on buses, I'm not going to get my phone and I start saying hello, anyhow. Some people will look at me awkward, weird, like, okay, what is this young man doing here?
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to touch base on the cultural norms.
Yes.
Do cultural norms enhance or limit self-care nowadays?
Good question.
That's a very good question, and it's both actually.
Okay.
It will enhance, cultural norms. Let me give an example of how, especially now during load shedding, I've seen it come back again, where families can just sit, our phones are low, we're just sitting together. A long time ago, it was very intentional. Maybe now load shedding is pushing us to do it. They sit, they talk about stories, they share stories of a long time, they talk about their day. No one is on their phone because their phones are low. So those are cultural norms where people would sit, they share stories, and so that will enhance self-care, because in that you'll be away from the world, and then you'll be with your family. The social cohesion is going to be lovely, and so it will enhance. But then again, it also downgrades self-care because culturally, if you talk about things like I want to go for therapy, I haven't been in the right headspace. People will be like, "Whoa, that's new.
Yeah.
We haven't. No, I mean, no. I have friends who have rigid fathers. When they are going through something, they can't even talk about it with their father. So it's a world of both. Cultural norms can enhance and they can also downgrade and break down.
Okay, so I see you kind of merging it with mental health.
Yes.
Ukosa,
Yes,
Mamuna
Mamuna
Samalila,
Samalila.
and all those things. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how do we now kind of address that before we continue into this conversation? Cultural norms and mental health. Because if you're bringing mental health, I suppose that it's also a form of self-care,
Yes.
taking good care of your mental health.
Yes.
So then, how do we bridge that gap between cultural norms and mental health?
So basically, when you go in a situation where a culture is embracing their cultural norms, when you talk about the word such as mental health, that's jargon to them. That's going to be, okay, now, like, what is mental health? So when you come, you dumb it down, or for lack of better terms, dumbing it down, you trickle down to where they are, you remove the word of mental health, and then you kind of explain what's inside that of mental health. You merge it what they are doing right now, so that it can be very close to them. I gave an example of social cohesion, communities. That's a way of mental. That's a way of mental health. They are helping themselves, mental health like that. So if you tell them that, oh, what you're actually doing right now is already mental health. You're taking care of your mental health by disconnecting from the world. And so let us replace those words like mental health. Maybe you tell them, oh, spiritual well-being. Those are things that they are going to understand, and then mental health is going to be very close to them.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So speaking to a young person who might be 10 or 11, can you give some of the examples of the cultural norms we have? Because you mentioned one, visiting your family and whatnot. So what
Yes.
other cultural norms do we have available in this particular generation?
A very easy one, especially when we were young, is how we were always told to at least bend your knees or completely kneel down when visitors come over. I see that in my home where I come from. All the children, when visitors come over, we're told to at least kneel a bit, bend your knees a bit, or completely kneel when elders come over. That's a very close example of a cultural norm that someone who's young, and we can see that it's being passed on from generation to generation. I myself will educate my children that, okay, this is a cultural norm that I was raised up in, and I think it shows respect. Respecting elders is also one of a good cultural norm that has been passed on. When you compare cultures, this culture here in Africa and the Western culture, the way I talk to my mom, my dad, and from the way we watch on TV, it's very different. That is in our culture. It's just part of our culture. I can't tell my mom, no, mom, I can't shout at my mom. But we see it in movies, and if it's in movies, then they practice it. So I can't shout at my mom. Maybe if I want, even at this age, I can't.
Yeah.
She will whip me.
Yeah. I think we see a lot of children scolding their mothers, "Mommy, no!"
Hey,
Like,
not in this culture. So that's a norm that has been passed down from generation to generation, and respecting elders, and it's a norm that's being seen everywhere.
Okay, so now let's look at some cultural taboos and how they directly affect a young person's health.
Okay, so this I love the way the questions are being phrased. They're very interconnected, and then they're riding on whatever we have talked about.
Yeah.
So let's talk about men, for example. How is a man going to go and talk about mental health when a man is just supposed to work hard? A man is supposed to be doing the things that he's supposed to do, not laying in the corner saying, I'm in a dark place right now. That is very unmanly.
And weak.
And then let's say for the women, a woman will spend most of her time in the kitchen, because when we talk about self-care, we're just not talking about mental health, even physical. You need to rest, you just need to rest your body. And so a woman is going to be in the kitchen the whole day. After the kitchen, she'll go the kids, change them, bath them. After that, she'll cook at night. In the morning, she'll dress her husband. So that is going to be a cultural taboo. If we find my wife maybe I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but it's something that we are seeing in our culture. It's going to be a taboo when I come back from work and then I find my wife hasn't cooked anything, and then we're going to say, why are you doing that? And then she'll say, oh no, I'm taking care of myself because I've been tired, so I'm trying to self-care. You know,
the word will go back to the parents.
The word will go back.
Taking you back.
I'm taking you back. It's like your child wants to self-care. So that's going to be a taboo. And then there's me, my wife, maybe I come back home without anything, and then I'll say, oh no, you don't have anything that you've brought, and I'll be like, oh no, I wasn't working today.
Yeah,
I was just with my friends who were chilling somewhere. I was self-caring.
Yeah.
You know, that's those are the taboos that arise like that, because we've been given those gender roles, and culturally those are the norms that we know we should carry on. So that one becomes harsh on, yeah.
All right, so having established that, so cultural norms and social norms are part of every person's upbringing and everything.
Yes.
So now, does gender impact how young persons now view self-care?
Very much. And that's why I won't stop commenting the way you're phrasing these questions. So immediately, the thing that we're talking about, if I am a man here, which I am a man here, and there's going to be a lady, and if I want to be in a position that says, okay, no, I want to take care of myself, I want to, and then look at how laziness is such a it's a luxury for some people. If you can't be lazy and be a lady and be a man, if I come home, if you're a lady, you're supposed to be in the kitchen all the time. Be in the kitchen all the time, clean the house. If I'm a man, I'm supposed to be out there doing this and doing that. And, you know, I won't take care of myself, though I'm supposed to. I'll work myself out, you know, and I read somewhere that the brain literally starts to eat itself up if you're lacking sleep. You know, that's going to mean I'm not taking care of myself. I'll come home today as a man, 22 hours, maybe around 4, I'll need to start brushing out, and that's it's not good on my part as a man. And then with the lady as well, she'll be cleaning around and just doing that. And so gender has blocked those cultural, those ways that in which we think we can take care of ourselves, because we've been assigned those gender roles.
So how best can we navigate that in a household level? Because we spoke of these norms, the present even up to right now. So now,
Yes.
how best can we navigate so that the kids can have a proper self-care routine?
Okay, number one, if you're talking about the home, we talk about the heads of the home first. We talk about the parents. The parents should be very open. We shouldn't stick to the rigid type of parenting anymore. We should be free with even as we're growing, we should be free with our children, even our parents, they should be free with us. And then there should also be an example. If I see the way my mom is living in our home, and the way my dad is living in our home, they're not doing anything to take care of themselves, they're not in the right psychological headspace, physically not okay, emotionally not okay, you know? You can see when someone is not emotionally in the right space, because emotions are easy to see. How someone just handles their anger, you know, even excitement. You're supposed to even handle your own excitement. Yeah. You know, some excitement is annoying to people. So when we see our parents setting the example and giving us education on how to best handle ourselves in a way that helps us be caring to ourselves, our emotions, and our mental well-being, then that's going to be very good. Our parents should be the key of that.
Our parents should be the key of that. I think that's something that keeps coming up in most discussions. Yes. Parents, guardians, whatever it is, they have a critical role to play in our lives, but it's unfortunate that, you know, I think some time back, there was a time I was, you know, going through something in life, and I wasn't able to talk to my parents. I wasn't able to talk to my mother. I wasn't able to talk to any of my guardians, because every time I tried to put across anything to do with mental health and maybe wanting to see someone, it wasn't given that priority. Because I mean, come on, be strong. What is even therapy?
Be strong.
As an African, therapy.
And looking at how expensive it is, actually.
Exactly. I think I looked up some places. I took time to check where can I go, and I couldn't afford it. So
Quite
it was
costly.
Yeah, it was me and myself.
Yeah.
My thoughts as an overthinker.
Heartbreaks hurt. You know, you're in a home, you come back from a heartbreak, maybe you find your girlfriend, your boyfriend has left you or done something worse, and they can see that you're not okay.
Exactly.
But they won't try to address the situation direct.
I think I've been in that situation.
These are parents who've experienced these things before. They've seen the life of heartbreak. They've seen the life.
They actually even know what you're going through.
Yes.
They're just watching. I think nowadays parents, especially African parents, they do think providing is their own sole responsibility. That's all. The rest they neglect.
Yes.
For as long as there's food on the table, roof over your head.
Yeah.
They're doing their best.
Yeah, and when someone is not taking care of themselves, they malfunction just like a machine. People do wrong things when they're not in the right psychological headspace, especially when your mental well-being is not okay. Your mental health has to do with depression, anxiety, and when you're not functioning well like that, you tend to make mistakes in other aspects of life. They know, they've seen it before. If it's young men of now who are trying to make money, you do this, you find they scam you somewhere. You can't even tell your parents because the first thing they will do is shout at you. How can you be like that? So parents should really help us.
But then I think I've always thought about what can we do to address this. I think I attended a conference some time back and they were talking about social and cultural norms, but I was thinking to myself, is it really possible to actually address this issue to the fullest, like to the actual fullest? Because we keep talking about this, social and cultural norms, but then we go back to them. I think we've talked about how when we go home, we've got parents who have been taught to live and behave a certain type of way, and so now to change that behavior is quite tricky. So how do you think we can now navigate that? How do we address that issue now?
I can tell you the revolution is here. Look at what we're doing right now. Our parents will somehow see what Copperos is doing, and they'll hear us complain. And it's an ever-changing world. None of us will say, no, the world is not dynamic. The world is dynamic. Culture in itself. I remember in grade 12, 11, we used to say culture is dynamic. Culture is dynamic. So so parents should come to terms with that. And maybe we might not directly do it to them. We go to them, Mom, I'm depressed and you're not paying attention. That's another problem. But as we go on addressing such issues, making podcasts, making newsletters, and just continuing doing that, things change very, very slowly. I can tell you how it was so difficult to accept whatever we are going through right now as a country. Load shedding can be anything, but we're adapting. We can adapt to anything, and so can our parents.
Okay. I think what I'm getting from that is that maybe sometimes we try to be a bit unfair on them, not realizing that they're also human. So we just want them to just understand whether you like it or not. But we need to realize that they're also coming from a time where they were taught how to do certain things. And so this is a shift in behavior.
Yes.
When you
It's
talk
a big shock for them.
Exactly. So I think we should be a bit lenient with them.
A bit lenient.
Probably. Yeah, but continue with such setups.
Yeah, and most importantly, how we come out when we're speaking to them.
Exactly.
Because the tone you use, the method you use, because you just can't pop up and out there aggressive. You need to keep calm, talk to them in a very respectful manner, explain to them. I'm sure they'll be able to get you.
Yes, parents. I've had situations where maybe you address something with your parent. I can't complain about my parents. They are very open with issues of mental health, issues of maybe relationships. Ask for guidance. And that just didn't happen because it was magic. It's because they've understood that, okay, I think they're basically just going through the life that we passed through, but not in the same setup. So it's still going, and it's going to happen. And the fact that we're growing, we're going to be the parents of tomorrow, so if we acknowledge that, okay, mental health, physical well-being, self-care, emotional care is a very good aspect of upbringing, and we'll avoid children growing up with traumas that they'll later project on other people. Us and the parents right now, we're the parents tomorrow.
We don't want our children to have mommy and daddy issues.
No, we should really avoid that.
Yeah, so right now tapping into the new generations, the social norms we face,
Yes.
do you think they impact us in a positive or in negative manner? Because we've got many social norms, we have the trends we're following and whatnot. Do they impact us in a positive manner or they affect us in a negative manner?
You know, this generation is very focused on the internet, social media. So when we talk about the good aspects, we talk about how mental health and emotional health, physical health is being addressed on the media. We can easily access it. But again, there's also a bit of a complication because we are exposed to unrealistic standards, unrealistic standards being passed from here to there, hustle culture, a man is not supposed to rest, but you're just seeing that on the media. You're not really face to face with it. It is just what it is as you see it, but it is not what it is in the way it is, So we should really learn to pick for ourselves. Sometimes as young people, we should withdraw from the internet so that we get to understand ourselves. Social norms and the way they are set and the way we supposed to go towards them is also self. Like in the definition of self-care, it's individuality, right? So you should understand yourself, and in the way that you think you can take care best of yourself. Avoid those unrealistic standards. Girls are always, a girl should look like this, a girl should look like that.
Yeah.
Avoid those unrealistic standards and take care of yourself in the way that you can take care of yourself as an individual instead of going out there and fishing from what other people are getting and then projecting on yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so our culture is very much important. I do admit that. So now how can we bridge the social norms and cultural norms? Because I understand we still need our identity comes from our culture and everything. Now, in times are changing. So how can we merge the two so that they can promote self-care in a household level?
First of all, we should talk about the linkages. Some people, the social norm is when you're sick, go out there, get medicine, go to a pharmacy. Then the cultural norm is maybe they'll use medicine. But in COVID-19, there was something we're calling kufutikila. It even has an English meaning. Whatever has an English word has been practiced by the English. So when we see the linkage between those two, it is going to be very easy for us to bridge that gap because the linkage is there. So when we tell people, the hard part is telling people from the culture to accept those social norms. So when we tell them their likeness, we tell them, okay, whatever you're doing now, whatever you're doing, it's actually also just, it's also modern as well.
Yeah.
So when we bridge those things and then we use traditional leaders, we use churches, we use pastors, when they come together and then they talk about those things, we're going to really put a bridge there, and then the gap is going to be nowhere to be seen.
Okay. I like that you've mentioned churches. I was actually thinking to myself, where do religious beliefs fall? Is it under the cultural norms, social norms, or is it a social cultural norm?
That's a social cultural norm because in that gap, religion and traditional leaders, those are the bridge. Because when we talk about Zambia being a Christian nation, because we are going to go as far as who established it, it was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
So it was in our culture to do what's right. But look at how Christianity is worldwide. People who are very civilized practice Christianity and ask to practice Christianity. So when we go to the church, we tell the church, no, look, someone buying medicine from an actual pharmacy is not wrong because it has the same effects as this. But look at the side effect of this, look at the side effect of that. And then sometimes you bridge the gap. Instead of being modern about things, sometimes you accept the things that you think don't have a harm on the culture. Like the best example I'm giving is the steaming thing. The steaming, we're not the only ones in Zambia who are doing it. And then on any day you can steam. When you steam, you feel more energetic, you feel refreshed, you feel good. So when we come from the modern side, and then when we come from the cultural side, and then we create similarities there, and then it's going to be very easy. So the church is a social cultural driver, and then can be a very good way to use to get to people to link the social and the culture.
So meaning involving church leaders.
Church leaders.
In all these discussions. Okay, great. I think think one of the topics that have been quite hot are issues to do with, safe abortion. And usually, I mean, if I have a church that I go to and I speak about wanting to receive and get an abortion, it will be looked down upon because that's not in line with my religious beliefs. And so now it kind of gets from your self-care. So thank you for including that.
Yes.
I can say right now we're running out of time, so under 30 minutes, another 30 minutes awarded.
You mean 30 seconds? Are you giving him 30 minutes?
Under 30 seconds, the last closing remarks.
In my closing remarks, I'm going to say, do not neglect your emotional health, do not neglect your mental health, do not neglect your physical health. Go to the gym, go and jog, go and talk with your friends, have those discussions, and just stay in your space. When you feel like you should withdraw from certain people, protect your peace. You'll be a better human, and you being a better human makes the next person a better human. I think that's what I can say in my closing remarks.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. So now that's it for this episode of the Youth Care Podcast. Thank you so much to our guest for joining us. And please do stay tuned for more of our podcasts. From me, Priscilla Muziamba, and my colleagues, it's bye-bye.